Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the next installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast where I talk to people on the internet because I can. It's my only method of communication with some of these people. So anyway, enjoy it. This is recorded late December, almost into 2023. So it's end of 2022, guys. Thanks for tuning in. But anyway, let's plug today's awesome title sponsor, the best title sponsor of the best podcast out there for shooting, talking of ramblings, is Go Fast Don't Suck. So go over there, get your dry fire targets, get your match jerseys, get your match banners if you're a match director, because you know you need them, and Bill's pretty cheap. I mean, not quality wise, it's fantabulous. It's awesome. I don't know. I'm tongue-tied already, and we're just getting started. But go check them out. Get some banners, dry fire targets, all the stuff you'll need. Get the memes, because, I mean, there hasn't been any spicy ones lately, but just enough spice to keep you going. But anyway, go check out gofastdon'tsuck.net. Tell them Manny sent you. Move on with your day. But let's get to the real meat and potatoes. The guy we really want to talk to, the Wisconsin cheesehead himself, Mr. Eric Kamps. Eric, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing fantastic.
Thank you for joining us after especially being nice and warm in the Southern Hemisphere. Now you're in the cold zone now.
Well, I think it's still technically in the Northern Hemisphere. Puerto Rico's north of the line, right?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. See, I'm not a geography major, so it's okay to be wrong.
I was in the Eastern time zone, but I was in the Northern Hemisphere, so.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Have yet to cross into the Southern Hemisphere. Like, I've tried, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, you are the traveling Viking.
Excellent.
you like to pillage wherever you go, but you take your guns in a safe manner.
Yes. Cross all the T's, dot all the I's.
Yes. So for anyone who doesn't know, guys, this is Eric Kamps out of Wisconsin. We're gonna find out more about him anyway. So Eric, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
Well, my name's Eric Kamps. I'm from Wisconsin. I guess very beginning, I grew up in like a gun household in the northern part of Wisconsin, northeastern Wisconsin. So, hunting. My dad was into collecting military guns, as was my grandpa. Like, World War II, that kind of stuff. And then they also did competitive high power back in the 80s and maybe the late 70s. So they'd been exposed to that, and my dad did trap, and so just grew up around guns, liked guns. End of high school, kind of was shooting a fair amount of sporting clays locally and playing a lot of paintball. And then after college, I moved to Racine for a job. And I really didn't know where I could shoot long guns. And I was kind of getting out of paintball at that point. So I went to the local gun store to shoot at the indoor range, and then found out they had a league. And so I started shooting the league and found out there were matches. So went to the matches, and then found out there was a whole organized sporting thing going on all over the world. And then just kind of been traveling and shooting ever since.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You start and you get the bug, and you'll never ever stop. Even if your bank account says you need to stop.
That's when you dry fire, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or you just start working matches because you can't afford to pay all the match fees. So you lose more money in that, but that's beside the point. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now, if you said northeastern Wisconsin, like what major city was closest? I mean, I know there's not many. Go ahead.
Green Bay, I would say. I was born in Green Bay, but grew up north of there a bit, so.
Yeah, so there you go. Did you ever get to go to Packers games as a kid?
No. I was an adult before I went to my first one. A buddy was on a leave from the Army, and we spent big money. It was, I don't know how much people listen or remember football, but it was a Packers 49ers game. It was cold. It was so cold that like the tickets weren't selling out. So our very expensive tickets were basically being given away the day of for the TV rights deal. But it was a good time. So I've been to 2 Packer games. But yeah, diehard Packer fan. Go Pack, go.
Right. I mean, you kind of have to be. I mean, that's all you got in like Wisconsin, right? Everyone's got to like the Packers. I mean, they don't have to, but it seems like it's a religional thing, right?
Yeah,
you must watch Packers on Sunday.
Yeah, they're a big deal up there, which is totally cool,
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So when you got into the sport, have you always been in production, or did you dabble in other divisions and then land on production?
Well, over the years, I mean, I've shot a little bit of everything, but nothing serious. Like, I'm classified and limited because I had a Glock 35 for literally like a week. and just went and shot a class fire match with it. I've shot open guns, but not really at matches. So the short answer is pretty much just production. It was, when I got into it, it was the premier division. It was also happily the cheapest division to get into. So you got the most heat with the least amount of investment. And that's what kind of set me on that path.
Mm-hmm. Now, and you've always pretty much been a Glock guy until recently, right?
Yeah.
Where you literally, your frame looks like a dog chewed on it.
I got Glock to replace the frame.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have that one gun has had everything but the barrel has been replaced, like cracked the slide, the frame eroded to the point that Glock replaced it. Well, I had to send $100, but yeah, they swapped it out, and yeah, 4 or 5, or like probably at least 4 firing pins that went out of that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's the nice thing is, right, that Glock will, for the cheap amount of $100, will give you a new gun essentially.
Yeah. No complaints about Glock customer support,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you were definitely the Glock guy for a while. Like even all our mutual friends, like Joey and Tony, are like, yeah, it's the guy. He shoots Glocks.
It makes sense, right? They're simple.
I mean, yes, and then you can totally fuck with them like completely.
I never did. I never changed anything on them, except for the sights. So I made master with the stock sights, and then I went to like fiber sights for the GM run.
Yeah.
Stock trigger though,
Yeah. Now, how long did it take you to go from unclassified to GM?
3 years, 4 months, and 4 days.
That's uniquely exact.
Yeah.
Now, did you beat Mr. Little to Grandmaster then?
Yeah, that's the only classification I beat him to.
He still doesn't love it, but it's okay. He's in Texas now.
Yeah, he's far away. He can't. I can say whatever I want. He can't get a hold of me.
I mean, yeah, physically, yeah, until he comes back and teaches a class in your neck of the woods.
Yes,
which is fairly recent. It's fairly often, I think.
I think he's coming back in March. So if anybody's interested in a Graybeard actual class, I'm 99% sure there's one in March.
Yep. Well, let me guess. It's probably going to be at Alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. I mean, I wouldn't be shooting. I mean, I'm going to be shooting outside in March, not by my own will, but unfortunately, I will be.
Yeah.
Not like I want to. But anyway,
the weather's always good at Alpha.
Yes, because it's indoors.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, you have to pay for it though. I mean, now are you a member? I'm assuming you're an Alpha member, right?
Yes.
Yep. It's got to be nicely convenient though.
Well, I mean, it's a little over an hour drive for me. Oof. So like the membership is a little pricey and it's an hour drive, but I don't know, it's always justifiable when you're trying to train for stuff. You have access to it till midnight and the weather's always good. And you get a lot of freedom to do what you want there.
Right, because that's owned by a private individual, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So no board of directors to worry about. You just go ask the owner if you can host a class, right?
Yeah. And he's like very cool about like he understands the shooting sports. I mean, yeah. So like anything you're doing that has any pertinence to practical shooting, like is going to be allowed there. Where some ranges get a little weird about like target height and setups and stuff. He's like, basically, if you're not putting bullets on the ceiling or floor, you're good.
Yeah. Well, Alpha's got the the portable bullet traps, and how many?
We used to have the battle walls, but those eroded, and so now we can't shoot. We used to be able to just shoot into the side walls.
Yeah, like Pine Tree has the battle walls, don't they?
Yeah, that's all from I'm spacing on it. Whoever the company is that makes those, but yeah, they're the same ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wish we had battle walls. I wish we had a local indoor range, honestly, that I could shoot USPSA matches at, but they're like an hour and a half away, and I'm like, yeah, no.
Hey, that's a hike.
Yeah, especially in the middle of winter when the weather could be absolute garbage.
Yeah.
So that hour and a half turns into 2 hours pretty quick.
I sometimes think about I was shooting at Pine Tree yesterday, and like I was driving over a mile per round that I shot for their like little match. I had practice afterwards, but like, I shot 60 rounds, but I drove 140 miles.
Yeah, it's crazy. But hey, it was worth it though. I mean, you got to see a bunch of homies.
Yeah, I got to shoot during the middle of the week, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, but yeah, you recently, in the last year, went to Shadow 2s, right?
Yeah, I did. Well, middle or so yeah, I shot Glocks like either 17s for the international stuff or 34s domestically from 2015 to 2001. And then the last time I shot one of those competitively was August of 2021 and then switched over to the Shadow 2. So,
Yeah. Did Jackie ever get her Shadow 2 back?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was just like,
In that year I've had 3 different Shadow 2s. So,
yeah, 'cause now
yeah,
you've got the America version now.
yes, yeah. So that one's actually getting retired as of like this week. So I mean retired as in it becomes the practice gun. So
Oh, okay. So yeah, so then you're gonna get the next gun all pretty now.
not at first. I'm gonna keep it kind of classy and just keep it the stock, black. So
Yeah. Now, for grips wise, who are you running for grips?
I have the lock grips. They're like they got the dual brass and steel, so it's like got carbide on the inside and then like kind of a palm swelly thing going on with brass on the outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How are you liking those?
They're all right. They were kind of like I just went to them right away when I transitioned into the platform. Like I shot one match with the stock grips, didn't really like them at the time. Then I got these grips. They're all right. The extra weight's nice. They could probably be a little bit more grippy. So I've tried some here and there that have, less brass, more grip. We'll see. I'm not big on switching stuff, so I kind of just buy stuff and roll with it.
Well, yeah, and even for you, like you travel to so many IPSC matches, you kind of need to have your gun dialed and figure out what's production legal.
Yeah, you kind of balance the two rule sets all the time. Like even when we did the switch of like placement of gear, holsters, magazines, that kind of stuff. Like I didn't switch anything because why train? Because I mean I still shoot probably 97% USPSA matches, but for the big ones I travel for now, do you want to try to relearn your draw or where the mags are? Like it ain't worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is not worth it. I agree with you there. Like that's the one cool thing about even me going to open division. Like I don't have to worry about much except for a base pad.
Yeah,
Like that's all I got to worry about.
try to relearn as little as possible every time, right?
Right.
I
Now,
learned
yeah, go ahead.
I said that you want to try to learn new stuff. So like, yeah, if you went to open and all of a sudden you're shooting like, let's say a revolver, it's like, oh my God, I got to learn everything that I once knew. Right. But if it's
Hmm.
more or less what you were shooting, now you can focus on, developing new skills.
Yeah, exactly. Always the new skills, but yeah. So you shoot a lot of IPSC. It seems well, like you said, 97% USPSA. But how many IPSC matches did you go to in 2022?
Uh, three, three or four, three. I did three.
Hmm.
So three majors.
Yeah, and that's always got to be fun. You make a vacation out of it though, still, don't you?
Yeah, when I'm able to. So like so I'm engaged now, and so it's like kind of there's the other half you got to think about. So we kind of have a rule with us where I can if it's somewhere new she wants to go along with, and if it's somewhere old hat, she's okay with like not going. So I had I'd shot in Estonia before, so one of my matches this year was the Baltic Storm, but
Hmm.
she hadn't been to Estonia, so she wanted to come with that to that one. And then middle of summer, I went up for the Ontario Provincials, and she's been to that one a couple of times, so she kind of was okay not going to that one. And then Puerto Rico was a new spot for both of us, so
Yeah.
and it's easier because like Estonia and Puerto Rico really are more friendly to the idea of you being a tourist while you're there. Where Canada, your permit is so narrow, like you basically have to get in and out within the time you're shooting, and it kind of restricts where you can be too.
Hmm.
So that yeah,
Yeah,
downside
because
Canada.
it's probably what the restriction because of the firearms, right? Like
Yeah,
you got to stay with your guns. You can't leave them anywhere. You got to get in and get out.
yeah. Submit like the routes you're taking to the RCMP. So like basically it says like I'm shooting on like let's say I shot what was it 2 days? It was like Wednesday, Thursday this year. So it was like I showed up Tuesday and they allowed me to be there, but by the end of the day, Friday, I had to be out of the country. Like you
Mm.
get 2 days to travel, you get 2 days to shoot. If the match is longer, they'll let you stay longer. But me and Les Kiss Martoni, we went in 2017 and we wanted to make a vacation of it, and there was just no way we could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now he's living in Florida and he has less pepperoni. It makes me sad. And more
Yeah.
pepperoni. But I don't know. You don't put pepperoni on a margarita pizza, so you never know.
He's kind of weird about the food thing. Like I don't get Chicago food culture, so like he'll be talking about like the proper way to like dress a hot dog. I have like no idea what he's talking about.
But he is correct. Like the Chicago dog is the superior hot dog.
Yeah, I'll
Just
take
saying.
your word on it. I'm not getting. I don't know horse in that fight or whatever dog in the fight.
You're probably like a beer brat. You're like a bratwurst guy because you're Wisconsinite, right? Like,
Yeah, it's got to be Using or Johnsonville or
yeah, it's got to go with beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's pretty cool. Yeah. So, how many matches are you looking at going to in 2023?
2023, for traveling matches, I've got hopefully three on the, hopefully I'm going to do at least three, possibly more. Kind of depends how the schedule shakes out. So like Ontario Provincials was going to be a redo, like want to go up there again. And then there's a couple that are like maybes. I had signed up for Aruba, but just due to scheduling, I wasn't going to be able to make Aruba work for 2023. Kind of waiting to hear what like the JRA out of Jamaica has going on, because the next time they host the JIPT, I kind of committed to going to that, at least mentally. I'm like, I gotta go to the next one since I won the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm kind of waiting to hear back for, there's a European regionals the European regional match is happening in Greece towards the end of the year. So I've kind of penciled that one in, but it so many things have to fall into place before it's a for sure,
Yeah. Now, have you ever thought about going to the Caribbean Open?
The one in February?
Yes.
Yeah, it would have been high on the list, but just like I've got some scheduling things next year. I'm getting married, so it's eating up a big chunk of my travel time. So
yeah, I can see that.
Because we shot at the T3 range this year, but I think that Caribbean Open is in Caguas, and everybody at that match was saying you got to go check out the range at Caguas. So plus last year, Jared Fox went. They had quite the crew, so that'd be more fun,
Yeah, Jared, you had a bunch of people shooting production. I know this year the guys from the Hit Factor, like I think Jared, Jeff, and Jeremy are all going. So, and there's a bunch of other shooters I know who are headed down there because they're making it a bigger event, it seems like. And the nice thing is it's some blend of a rule set. It's kind of interesting because it's not strict IPSC and it's not USPSA. It's like they're hybrid, so that both IPSC and USPSA shooters can shoot without too much change to their shooting style.
Yeah, Les had been trying to talk me into going this year, and it's kind of like it's the franchising of USPSA and IPSC that like is very attractive to me. Like I don't want to like travel to an unknown rule set, so it had been a turnoff originally, but then seeing how much fun people had with it, it'd be kind of interesting,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Dogs in the background making a bunch of noise.
I mean, that's okay. They're somewhat adorable. They are short-legged, short-faced doggies.
Yeah, one of them found like a bone or something, is going ham on it. So sorry about that.
No, that's all good. See, everyone like, I mean, you could agree with me. Like, I'll post on my Instagram, on my stories. Doesn't matter what type of dog it is, as long as it's a cute dog, it gets reposted. It seems like,
yeah.
I like that one pug account I found is super cute with the weird big eyes. Like, that is adorable. That pug is adorable. That's a side point. Everyone likes dogs. If you don't like dogs, even if you're a cat person, you still need to like dogs.
They have that quality of likability through and through, Maybe not like crazy dogs, but like most dogs are just super likable.
Yes. Like my little dude Reggie over here is just like laying in his crate behind me, just like, I'm taking a nap. Just keep it down over there. But yeah, I agree. Dogs are the best. And you even take your dogs to the range and even to matches, right?
Oh yeah. Especially when it was just me and the pug or whatever. Like I would feel bad because in the summer you get busy, so it's like get home from work, grab the gun bag, we're like going to the range. So pretty soon just start bringing them along, and then people like them. And I have my neighbor, she's a bit of an elderly lady, and we were watching the fireworks this summer, and like she's like, "Oh, your dog's not afraid?" I'm like, "He's been exposed to a lot of gunfire. Like he's gonna be fine tonight."
Yeah. Do you ever have to worry about like off leash time or at the range where like they'd walk? Hopefully they wouldn't walk down range.
So I usually keep them on a leash. Well, funny story is like, so I shoot at Schultz Rod and Gun Club in Muskego quite a lot in the summer, And on our Tuesday nights, they were doing some sort of like youth camp or something. I wasn't exactly sure, but there was a ton of kids over on the archery ranges, and they're kind of across from the pistol ranges. And so my pug was like a much more of a puppy. And he was in the car. I let him out. He went to the bathroom. I'm like, oh, I'll just let him off the leash so he can run around. And he like beeline to the archery range to say hi to those kids and shut it down. And I got yelled at a little bit about that one, but
But hey, right? They just want to hang out with all the kids, right?
yeah, he's seen what he wanted to do. He wanted all the attention over there, but yeah, he was downrange and they shut it down for a little bit.
Yeah. It could have been worse, right? A lot worse. But yeah, that's cool. But yes, I guess we can talk. Well, we'll talk a couple more shooting related questions, then we'll dive into maybe a little bit of the match director stuff, and then we'll move on to next topics. But what are your current goals? I mean, you're a GM already in production, so what goals do you have still?
Yeah, I want to I would like to make top 16 and at nationals, right? Like that'd be I'm kind of outside of that realm at the moment, so trying to get into that one. Then just shoot and win majors and stuff like that. So it's nothing, I'm not trying to switch divisions. I'm not trying to get like GM and Steel Challenge or anything at the moment.
Yeah, but you also, you recently won the Puerto Rico Open in production.
Yep.
And then you got a fancy president's medal because you're cool.
I did. That had been a goal of mine for quite a while. So like we had like 2018, I think it was like me and Mike Ganara and Les all ended up at the Ontario Provincials. And what did I took like third in production, and then I don't know what Les take. I forget what Les took, but like Mike won standard and he got a president's medal, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So I had been wanting to win one. So you kind of part of any goal is like just putting creating opportunities for that to happen. So attending different IPSC matches and kind of understanding like where I'm probably going to end up. And yeah, so I was happily to finally win one. I thought in 2021 I was going to have a shot at it in Aruba, but that match just kind of got away from me with the penalties. I was closer than I thought to it this year at Baltic Storm. I ended up at 94% of the winner, and I honestly didn't think I was going to do that well. So I was like, oh, that was almost within, when you're 20% off the leader, you're like, there's nothing you're going to do to win that match. But when you're 6%, then you start thinking like every makeup shot, every Delta, Charlie, it starts like, yeah, clean some of that up, we might be there, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, most people can't even fathom of winning a major or being at that top high level of nationals, even though you came in 30th at nationals this year.
Yeah, my best. But every year there's some people that you beat that you had been chasing, and there's some people that beat you that you had been ahead of. So yeah, it was a good nationals, but I did feel like I left some stuff on the table, especially like the third day. Like the first 2 days were kind of all right, and then the third day I had more mistakes than I would have liked. But the what if game, right? We all play it.
Yeah, we call it what if sick.
Yeah. If I hadn't shot those 3 mics, this would have been pretty all right.
Right. Or it's like, okay, or I didn't have this malfunction. That's usually like where I find it. It's like, okay, I had 3 seconds of malfunction time. What happens if I didn't have a malfunction?
Yeah.
That's usually where I find it to be appropriate. And then after that, you're just kind of stretching. Or if you turn all your deltas into Charlies, where you could see what you could get. But shooting minor scoring is not your friend unless you're shooting alphas fast.
Exactly. And that was something early in my career that I definitely did not appreciate. I would say I was one of those guys that probably went fast before I figured out the hits. And I can remember there was like a nationals, the last one they had in Utah at SUPs or whatever. And like we had rented a house. So there's probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us there. And like when it was all said and done, we were drinking a little bit of whiskey. Like it was all after the match. And Les kind of went through and just kind of like gave us like the what for on like what you need to do. And hey, dog's knock that off. And like he had mentioned that I got to learn how to shoot alphas. So kind of from then on out, it doesn't always happen, but you try to learn how to be accurate.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's we don't all have the gift of like major power factor at that point. And that's really what it comes, minor definitely hurts you for not shooting alphas.
Yes.
But I mean, some people can go really fast and still get all the alphas, and that's the scary part.
Yeah,
Like,
it's if you can figure that out, I think you're in good shape, right? If you shoot really fast and all alphas.
yeah,
Like
like if you, like Hetherington, Jacob Hetherington freaking murders the field in time. And like, and then he still crushes on the alphas. It's crazy.
yeah. I think it must have been, it was back when Dave Savigny was still shooting. Me and Les went down to Florida for the Florida Open, and we're shooting on the same squad. And like, I wasn't an M class shooter. Maybe I was an A class shooter at the time, you know, and like Florida Open, especially back then, was such a difficult technical match that, you know, I was watching Les shoot it. And I'm like, man, this guy is going to win production. And like Savigny put up time and points over him. And then watching that match video, I'm like, he's shooting this like he's got an open gun, except he's shooting all alphas and very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't, does Dave still shoot, or is he kind of like disappeared?
I don't know 100%. I thought maybe there was like an injury, like some sort of thing that was prohibiting movement is what I'd kind of heard, but I don't know where I heard that, so don't quote me on it. But I heard he's kind of out.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see him come back if he was able to, because he, you know, one of the OGs in the sport and like destroying everybody.
Well, when you look at the sport in like terms of like, you know, like why do we do this? It's to have fun and all that. But, you know, it's one of those things where you do see like people who are a little bit older still competing at high levels. You know, so there's always that hope that like, oh, maybe I'll be in my 50s or 60s and still having fun doing this, you know, opposed to if you were like played soccer or something, like probably not going to be playing it in your 60s.
No, you're never going to be playing it in your, yeah, unless you're really fit and you're on a senior soccer league.
Yeah, we're like somewhere between like golf and like I don't know something else, like something more physical, right? We're somewhere there. I feel like for physicality.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's yeah. Yeah, and then a bunch of people just go shoot shotguns, right? Like when they get old, they just go shoot shotguns in like a stand and they have fun with it.
Yeah, as long as they're having fun.
I mean, we all got to have fun. That's why we do it. We don't do it for the headaches or the heartache. We just go for the hanging out with our friends and shooting guns.
Well, it's the financial incentive. That's why we do it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Checks in the mail. That's what they say, right?
Yeah, checks in the mail, or no one's walking away with the Mary Kay pink Cadillac, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you are, I want pictures and a lot of that. But yeah, so if anyone didn't know, you were the match director for the first time in a long time, the Northern Illinois section match last year,
Yes.
and you're bringing it back again this year.
We are.
So, I mean, you spent a bunch of time, match directing local matches. How many years of being a local match director have you had?
Probably 4 at this point.
Okay, so yeah, it's not like you're new to being a match director.
Yeah.
So what was the difference, or what did it feel like the difference was between your local level one matches to then put on a level 2 match?
Everything is way more stressful at a level 2.
Yeah.
Right. And there's certain things you don't think about at a level 1 that matter a lot at a level 2, you know? So, but it was fun. I mean, it was fun in a weird high stress way.
Right. Like, I mean, you got rained out 2 days of setup, right?
Yeah.
And that's not very easy or fun.
No. And, you know, I guess one of the things you learn is so that at that particular club, I run outdoor matches. And so we have all of our props and stuff on the bays, the fault lines, the walls. So you're used to always having ample building material on hand until you run out. And all of a sudden, like one day, like, hey, we're out of fault lines. Like, well, now we got to run to the store and buy fault lines and paint them and cut them, you know, and do the whole thing. And yeah, so there are a lot of lessons learned that way.
Yeah, that's definitely that's no bueno. But now you're ready for next time, or you know what, now you probably are like, all right, what do I have? What do I need to think I need to build prior to, you know, that match coming this year? Well,
yep, definitely it's going to get more attention than it did the first time through, you know.
Yep, and you're scheduled. What? That's a May match, isn't it?
Yeah, I pushed it back a little bit. I had a match scheduled, like a traveling match in April, but that got canceled. But I still like the May date better. It didn't have any conflicts, and weather should be better, but it's Midwest. You never know.
Well, yeah, like I mean, even us, we're having the Michigan sectional in mid-April because of conflicts at our range and local other events happening in the area. So we're having our Michigan sectional in April, and that's could be cold. I'm not promising it'll be cold or warm. It could be.
I do think the early matches, at least in the Midwest, like you do see an attendance bump though. Like I think if you're like the first out of the gate, you're going to get everyone who has that pent up, like, we've been shooting indoor, we haven't been shooting, and then like Michigan sectional right away. Like, later in the year, you'll get people that are shutting down for the year, right? Like August, September, like, okay, I've shot my majors, I'm done, type thing. So
yeah, there's that, but then there's this people like the weather's going to be shit. I'm like, we didn't pick this date because we randomly wanted to shoot in the possible of cold. It's the fact that we had no other option, no easy solution than putting it on everyone else's dates. And I was like, no, we can't do that.
yeah, well, that's the fun, right? Like, you'll always get, like, everyone's always got an opinion about it that they'll happily share with you, and it's like, yeah, like you said, we weren't trying to do it to make you shoot in the cold. Like, there's reasons to this decision.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like you have but you're the Northern Illinois section,
Yep.
but so I'm assuming there's clubs in that section. Does that club have like a board or like a committee?
The club or the section or
the section itself.
Yeah. So I haven't looked at our bylaws exactly. We just got a new section coordinator, but yeah, basically there's a section coordinator, a set of bylaws. We don't do anything, like we don't pay any money towards the section to host matches, but I guess the one thing I do know is about like slot allocation. So it's based on user fee, and basically like they'll, whoever has the most will get the slot for the division, and then it kind of goes down the line, and then if everyone gets one, they'll repeat. So it's kind of by activity, but it also isn't weighted, so a club that had a lot of activity gets all the slots.
Right. Yeah, we're something similar to that when it comes to section slots. But yeah, like, we vote, our section will vote on, who gets the section match or who wants the section match. And we always do it like in a 2-year window gap, like at least in Michigan, where so 2 years this club will have it, the next 2 years someone else can have it, and so it's kind of a way, so like the first year the club can figure out what they need, have some more purchases, and then on the second year hopefully make more money, for themselves to then put back into the club or props and whatnot.
Well, in our section with the sectional matches, we just didn't have anyone who had wanted to run it. Like, as a match director, you kind of like, I mean, I guess we're all kind of type A people, like you have goals. So after I had taken over one of the outdoor clubs, I then had wanted to run a level 2. And if I was going to run a level 2, I wanted it to be the sectional championship. And no one's fighting to take it away from me. But if they want to, please.
Yeah.
If you want to run it at Aurora or wherever, please do that. I'll happily go show up. But
right, yeah, it is a little weird that the Northern Illinois match is in Wisconsin, but I mean,
run by a guy from Wisconsin. Like,
I mean, you kind of live close still, though. It's not like, I mean, you
yeah, I'm on the border,
right? It's not like you live all the way up in Green Bay or Manitowoc or, you don't live in Rhinelander in running the Northern Illinois section. I mean,
it was just kind of a circumstantial thing, where one of our outdoor clubs, Schultz, they do like the gun club, the non-for-profit that is the gun club has a USPSA club, and then there's a third party club that runs there, and that one had been out of Illinois back in the day and has just been housed there forever. So just kind of a weird how history goes,
Yeah, like what? Because their Schultz has their matches, and then what? NISA.
Yep.
Northern Illinois Shooters Association.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in the middle of this episode, Mr. Eric Kamps. I need to talk about the sponsors. I like always on the show, we stop in the middle for a commercial because it's a commercial. Anyway, don't forget, gofastdon'tsuck.net. Go to gofastdon'tsuck.net. Get your dry fire targets, match shirts, match banners, memes on the internet. Go check them out. Bill's a great supporter of the sport and the podcast. Run over to Brian's website, huntershdgold.com. Go buy some glasses. Go find him at a match. He's got a calendar all there so you can see where he's going to be at. So go check them out, huntershdgold.com. Follow that up by dominatedefense.com to go get yourself a Mach 1 speed belt combo. Use Manny Talks 10 for 10% off. It's the best belt in the business. It's going to give you lifetime 4 to 5 times longer than any double alpha premium belt. Don't forget, run over to divtechshop.com and use Manny Talks Shooting for another 10% off your whole order when you buy 3D printed magnet stuff. So go check them out. Really affordable, really nice products. Really good quality magnets that you want on your range belt. So check them out as well. Don't forget to run over to targetsusa.com. Manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. You can thank me because Steve Anderson gave me that line. I'm going to stick with it because it's actually true. Targets USA makes finest steel targetry. But anyway, so check them out on their website. They're fantastic. Great prices. Ships from Alaska, guys. So go check them out. Don't forget rangepanda.com. Gianni and Eric do phenomenal work for the shooting sports, making custom foam now, doing lasering on cups, all your 3D printed stuff for your press, optics covers, whatever you name it, they pretty much got it now, and they're just expanding their lineup, and it's awesome to see them grow. So go give them some love. Also, can't forget my friends Tony and Jackie over at Laugh and Load. Make sure you go over to their shirt, get your official Manny Talks Shooting t-shirt. That's the only place you're gonna be able to get it, guys. So go check them out. Manny Talks Shooting shirts are there. I don't have a discount code, but I think you should just go buy a shirt or a Supreme Division shirt, like, because an open shirt's awesome. So don't worry about that. Don't forget TimHeronShooting.com. He can get you on the right path to get started in practical shooting. So check out Tim Heron, shooting.com. Get on a schedule, find a class near you. We've got Chile Custom Gunworks. You want a new awesome grip on your Prodigy or your Staccato? Get a Chile Custom Gunwork grip. My custom open gun was built with Chile Custom Gunworks parts because they're the best, they're the finest, and they're fabulous, guys. So make sure you check them out. They're fantastic and awesome. So go check out those parts. I think I got everybody this time. I think I did. Yeah. So that's everybody. But till next time, guys, we're gonna finish up this awesome episode with Mr. Eric Kamps. So you had your match in 2022. There was some decent amount of hiccups, probably mostly due to weather and some things like that coming up to the match. So what was kind of your biggest takeaway that from that match? Maybe not necessarily the heartaches and the headaches, but what was your biggest takeaway regardless of that?
For like improvement and stuff?
That, or what you guys did right, or what you were proud of, and kind of.
Well, we'll start with the positive. I mean, like, I designed all the stages. I felt like what I wanted to accomplish with those stages came across. I think people, for the most part, had a lot of fun with this. Like, I feel like stages are kind of one of those hard things to nail down. And like, I had wanted to make a match that wasn't going to be hyper difficult. And I also didn't want it to be a hose fest. I mean, it was a little bit, I guess, hosey, but I felt I presented the challenges in a way that I was proud of. So I was happy about that. I would say, like, probably the biggest thing for like a lot of the hiccups was not having a dedicated staff day. So I had originally wanted to do Saturday staff, and then I had also opened it up, like, because I don't know, like, well, you've worked matches, like shooting staff day kind of sucks, right?
It depends on who you're sitting with, but
yeah. But I mean, like, I would say, like, broadly speaking, that like shooting on staff day is not as much fun as shooting on the main match day, because it's like, if anything's going to go wrong, it's going to happen that day. Like, sometimes there's still like setup going on, or it's just not as much polish. But like, the nice thing is, from the match director's standpoint, is you find all those hiccups when there's 10 people, or like, let's say 3 squads shooting that day, and not 7 or 8 full squads shooting that day. So this year, we're going to do, like, Friday is going to be pretty much just staff. And so that way we can get all the stages up and running, all the hiccups sorted out before then we pack it full of people. So like this year we had weather, and we had, like, we're solving problems as we go, but like backing up squads, and that was not good.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, where, that's a problem. But I think a dedicated staff day is ideal. It's, well, and most of your staff are going to show up the day before anyway, because you give them a hotel for the night prior to the match, and whatnot. So usually you'll get the CRO, you get the RM and the CRO's blessing on the stages, and depending on who you have as staff, it really depends and reflects on the level of their experience and knowledge to make it more polished and be able to catch these hiccups before you start shooting.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm looking forward to that this year. Like, I'm gonna take a little bit more time off, like the weeks prior, to get stuff laid out, and then that week taking more time to just be there. Like we said, we lost 2 days to rain, for the setup, which was unfortunate, so it's like now you're taking less time to get more done, and yeah, it just kind of compounded there at the end.
Yeah, I can agree, and I see that, and yep, and well, luckily enough, Mr. You had Tom. Did you have Tom in 2022?
Yep.
Okay, so you had Mr. Palmer in 2022. So Tom, the beard of knowledge. I mean, if Tom listens to this, sorry, Tom, but or the beard of knowledge. But Tom definitely knows his stuff when it comes to things, and it's always
Yeah,
funny. It's always fun to watch him ride up on the golf cart, though.
I was like, when there's people like, because he's got such a calm demeanor,
Mm-hmm.
like I can't say I've ever seen him excited about anything, like not like like, and sometimes people are pretty hot and he's just like very calm, like, no, you don't get the reshoot, no, that's a myth, like
Yeah,
the final word, but like a very calm final word.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you and I share something in common. We'll both have Tom as range masters in 2023.
Excellent.
So I got asked by my local range master. He's like, but well, this is before you guys. I don't know even if you made your date official. He's like, can Tom be the RM? I'm like, well, you both can. I'm like, I don't got a problem with this.
Yeah.
So, but it's always nice to have two people. Have you opened registration up yet? Or you're still working on that, aren't you?
Yeah, that's well, I got a meeting after this one to finalize that form, and it goes live tomorrow. No, the day after, Sunday.
Yeah, it goes on the first.
Yeah, everyone does, right? So
Well, and you have a very good price for 12 stages. I'm
yeah,
gonna say $120 for 12 stages in the middle of the later part of May, which is nice. Because you can't mess with Mother's Day weekend, because it seems like that's the biggest no you could have, I guess.
yeah.
But some
And
matches some matches sell out on Mother's Day, even though it's Mother's Day.
it's like it's really hard to predict what's going to influence stuff, where it's like sometimes you get a sellout, sometimes you don't, and
Yeah. Well, then there is definitely the real like break even point of a match too. Like I feel bad for Indiana this year. They had to cancel their match. They couldn't even host it because they didn't have enough attendance.
that's rough.
Yeah. And that was like it seemed like the last 2 years that happened. And I was like, oh, that sucks, guys. Like you want to be able to but there's so many major matches going on all
Yeah,
year. It's like it's so hard to either find a good date or get enough staff or enough shooters who want to shoot it. But
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, like if you're the consumer, just the guy shooting matches. I mean, I wouldn't say having too many options is a bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a match director, and especially if you like, you want to represent your area. Like the whole reason we wanted a Northern Illinois section match was to like kind of, you know, pay homage to our shooters around here. Like, hey, we got a lot of shooters in the Chicagoland area. Like they should have their major match. But at the same time, yeah, there's a point where it doesn't make sense financially, and there's, like scheduling and stuff you got to work around.
Mm-hmm. And not everyone wants to drive down to the Devil's Butthole.
Yeah. And sometimes, matches, sometimes like they get, like people will get fired up about it, like sometimes people, there's matches they always attend or they don't, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like I know Tony is bittersweet about that range.
they broke a split there,
Yeah. I'd love him to be able to take an axe to that tree though.
Well, it's used as a prop basically every year on that stage.
I mean, at least they're using it instead of just there's a tree here.
Yeah.
I will say that is the most interesting range because there's a tree right there.
Yeah.
And you're shooting. It seems like you're just shooting in the woods. I mean, there's berms and stuff, but it's
They have that one bay where it has like a half structure on it.
oh
The one where it's like a weird 270 angle, but it's kind of shooting like with the railroad ties and stuff. I'm like, what is this? What was going on here originally?
yeah, it's like a fort kind of looking thing. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. So 2023 is going to be awesome for you guys. Have you started working on stages yet, or are you still
It's
early
on the
process?
Yeah, I'm still mulling it over. I had like a list of like kind of shooting challenges I wanted to incorporate, and then I kind of will, like, okay, we want to have this represented, so I'll make a stage where that's kind of featured in it and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of like stage design and stuff, like, man, wasn't 2022 the year of the fixed time stage?
Yes. That's not my fault. I mean, it might be my club. We did it, not my problem.
I was gonna say it was interesting. So I had submitted, so like I had made the 10 stages this year, put the challenges in there that I wanted, and I wanted to do fixed time. And my match was April this year. And when I sent it up to NROI, I got a suggestion to change it to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, and it made sense, and that's what I did. But I was like, huh, like they must have approved every other stage that was fixed time this year.
And depending on you shot a fixed time not classifier, fixed time course at Area 5.
Yeah.
And that was, I think everyone liked that. And then that came back at Nationals.
It was one of my worst stages at Area 5 and one of my best stages at Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. And it was more or less the same challenge, right?
Yeah, I was the same. It looked the same essentially. I mean,
Yeah.
other than some targets were different, but yeah, I mean the walls looked similar.
The idea of like run up or stay back and play the whole time game, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that it definitely puts a pressure, right? Like, par times, like when in competitive shooting when you're practicing a dry fire, par times, right? So really you think about it is you're doing par time. A fixed time course seems like a par time, but it's a no fail mode. You can't shoot sloppy. You have to shoot alphas.
Yeah.
Because you can't take extra shots and you can't have extra hits, or you get pretty much essentially a 0.
Yeah, it's not good for the final score.
Yeah. But they're definitely interesting, especially with some of the proposed rule changes, like the where you can have in a short course, you can have more if they get rid of it, have more than 2 shooting locations on a short course, or more than 3 on a medium course. So you just can't have well, if you think about it, and you just can't go over the 8 scoreable shots mandatory per location. So then you really can kind of get that IPSC feel of these short courses, but still these short, low round count courses, but they might be higher in time. So you drive down hit factors a lot easier that way.
Yeah. It is challenging to make. I feel like, especially on smaller bays, it's very challenging to get lower hit factor stages.
Mm-hmm.
Like without being like really punitive, like, okay, it's all headshots surrounded by no shoots, but like to space targets and utilize a small space to create movement and then also, like break up the shots. But
and then not necessarily make a hoser stage either, like, where you start on this side, you shoot all the targets as you're moving and you just kind of wail on them. And
3-foot targets, and there's 4 of them, like go to town.
Yeah. I mean, which you can. I mean, you don't make a whole match of it, right? Or you add that to part of your stage. But it'll be interesting to see what they come up with these new rules, with the new updates in the competition rules. Like, because I know
an interesting thing that I saw, because I read through it maybe once or twice. I haven't filled out my survey yet because I'm collecting my thoughts. But on short courses, they listed the number of shots required between like 1 and 12. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a typo, but I mean, like, are we opening up the door to less than 6 rounds per stage?
I mean, that's probably interesting, but I think they wanted just to clarify it that way. Now, that'd be interesting. A stage literally is, you could have like a warm-up stage essentially in every bay, like IDPA does, where, okay, this stage is your draw.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but like currently you can't have a course of fire that requires less than 6 shots.
I wouldn't say you're wrong, but I'm not for sure. I mean, that would be something I'd have to dig through. So you most likely could be right. Tom would know.
Yeah, Tom would know. So that's why we bring people like Tom to our matches, to bring that wealth of knowledge. But and that's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not necessarily opposed to a 1-round stage, but what are you accomplishing with it? We'll see. That's the fun thing about a freestyle sport is see what people come up with.
Right, and you don't necessarily have to have like a build drill stage, but it definitely it doesn't make you have to go to 12. I think it's more freeing, or it gives people more options of like, okay, I want a 9-round course of fire, but you have to go to 4 positions to shoot 9 rounds.
Hey, it would be interesting. I will say, like a lot of times when people like talk about like IPSC, the 3-2-1 rule, it's like it is harder to make interesting short courses, I think, than people give it credit. So like a lot of times it's like you shoot like three small courses that would probably have made like one interesting longer course, if that makes sense. I mean, it all scores the same, so it is what it is. But it's sometimes I do have that feeling when you're shooting, matches.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, maybe that's, I don't necessarily say it's a downside, but it's unfortunate, right? Where you've got to do these short burner courses to then get, but then I guess it probably saves rounds, and it also makes the match have to have more bays or more stages with the 3-2-1.
Yeah, typically they will have more stages.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bay situation, I mean, like for example, like this year I shot a match in Estonia, so that was 40 stages and 2 half days. So you shot 5 hours each day, and it was like around 800 rounds. But they have a lot of bays, but like you would get to a bay and there'd maybe be between 1 and 3 courses of fire there, or stages. So it might be like you stand on the left side and they have an area partitioned off, and it's like, this is your short course. It's 4 targets and a steel plate, and you shoot that. And then you like load up your mags, and then you step to the right. Now here's your long course, and 30 rounds. And then, so they, like they'll use the spaces differently. And sometimes they'll even like, targets would be shared. Like you'll shoot this target on both stages, but like, obviously they repair it and score it in between. Maximize space usage.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And then it takes less time because you're not burning time reading a stage brief and moving to the next bay. You're just able to kind of burn them out. It's kind of like those back-to-back stages.
Yeah. And there's some merit to that, especially like when the shooting challenge is very straightforward. Like that doesn't mean easy. It's just like, okay, you're just shooting, like I said, these 9 rounds. So it's these 4 paper targets and 1 plate. Well, I don't really need to spend 15 minutes figuring that out, And so like sometimes they'll have like a couple of those on the base. So it's like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that short course. I'm going to go over to this medium course and, figure this one out more.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably a smart option too if you're shooting IPSC. But I don't know. I'm hoping that the medium and the short courses, it'll increase people to design them more than, I've got to stand in 2 boxes and shoot the short course.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like a downside you'll see. And like, I feel like when I was a newer stage designer, and I still find myself doing it, where you just place targets to bump up the round count, right? Like, okay, I have a 4 position stage and it's going to work out to be 25 rounds. I'm like, well, I'll just add in 3 targets and we'll be good. And like that doesn't make the shooting challenge better. It just makes you shoot more,
Right. Yeah. I mean, and some people always say, well, we want more rounds. We want more rounds. They obviously are just, I mean, that's not I don't think that their opinion is invalid, but it doesn't change the shooting challenge essentially sometimes, or it's just, you're just making more boom.
Yeah.
Because you could have a really good 22 to 24 round stage and then kind of ruin it by adding 8 more rounds to it. Or,
Oh no, I agree 100%. And I do think, as a match director, you do have to think about like, well, what adds value to this match? What makes people want to shoot it? I had an experience once where I drove like maybe it's under 2 hours to shoot IDPA match, and it was like a 60 round match. And I remember leaving it thinking like, man, I drove 4 hours for this, but like on the flip side, if you just have, hosey 32 round stages, that's not really value either,
Yeah. Hosey 32. Yeah. There's a lot of, value is in the perceived eye of the holder, but like as the match director, you have to be the one to look at that and be like, is that valid? Is it worth it? Or do I need to change my game plan?
Yes.
And then it's almost sometimes good where you have a multiple stage designers for a match, even if it's a local match or a major match. Like it might be good to have multiple people designing stages. So you get different feels or flavors from different designers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, I think we're all kind of creatures of habit, it's like, in a way you always kind of revert to the same stuff, or even if you don't know it, you have like little biases and stuff. So to get someone else's opinion is good, and also it's a good way to mentor stage designers, because I always feel like it's hard to find people who want to design stages, and then usually when they start off they're not great. So it's like, hey, I like this idea, let's make it legal and safe, and then we'll make it fun.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know about you, like in our local club, we've got maybe 5, 6 people who come out every match and set up. And usually those were the guys putting a major match down on the ground is, 5 to 6 people.
Do you design your stages before the day of for your locals, or do you just like put stuff into the ground day of?
Well, so we'll set up the day prior to the match, but sometimes we'll have like a SketchUp of what we want. Like, okay, this is the idea I have. Not necessarily that we set it in stone, but we have the idea of the stage, or somebody pulls it out. Or sometimes it's say, fuck it, we're gonna stick these targets on the ground. We're gonna set these walls up, and then we're gonna set the stage. I guess it depends on how much time we have to prep. If we've been busy, like shooting a bunch of majors and traveling around, because we all are CROs and range officers. So we're all like, well, we're at a major match this weekend. So our locals in 2 weeks, and we really don't have time to prep. We'll like, all right, we'll put a good stage on the ground out of our head.
Yeah. Like the two clubs I work out of, like, like for example, I shot that match in Puerto Rico, and then I got back on Tuesday, but Wednesday night I had a match director, like a local match. And like for that one, I just like went into the like library that I have on my computer and be like, all right, 3 years ago we shot these stages, emailed the WSBs out, and that was what so at least they have a game plan kind of going into it. But
yeah, we typically like to have a game plan because it saves some time on headache of what do you want to really do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not have the same bay you drew it up in, because we use SketchUp. I don't know about what you use, but
Yeah, I'm a SketchUp guy.
yeah, I like SketchUp, but it also depends. Like, oh, I built this stage for this bay.
Yes.
And its limitations, but I don't have this bay now. Someone else is using this bay, so I got to move it. Like in one of our bays, like you saw at Area 5, Bay 3 has like that piece of wood in the back. It protects a water pump to keep the range from flooding. So you are limited in that bay of what you can kind of do near that back corner. And even like the side of the back of the bay has got that fencing to keep, protect the pump hose. So you're kind of limited on what you can do in that bay, or what you have to design away from.
Yeah. Well, I would say, how do you feel about the 3D stage builder kit?
I actually have one. I had a buddy of mine at the club. He has his own 3D printer, and he printed me one. I like using that as like my rough idea. Like, okay, I'm saying like I want to have, before I sit down at the computer, it kind of removes the step of the napkin.
Yes.
Or it might be the more refined like you take something from a napkin and be like, okay, let's see what I can do here before I take it to the computer. So it's kind of a stage where it's that middle process. Be like, okay, we can do this, or it's easy to explain to somebody with a Lego dude and a little bit of 3D kit on the range, and be like, okay, well, we can do this for this reason, or you can't do this, or this is how this needs to be set up. You put the prop here, the wall here, and the fault line here.
Yeah. This is where the shooter's going to be. This is the shooting challenge or problem. This, like, how is it going to be presented?
Yeah.
But I would say, like one of the big strengths of that kit is it's very easy to design a stage, right? You move the little bits around, but like often the devil's in the details, right? Where it's like, yeah, it looks good, except there's shoot through problems. There's like size and spatial problems.
Yeah.
They're
not true to scale, which is unfortunate.
Yes. And so, that's kind of like, it's like a double-edged sword there, where it's like, I enjoy the fact that it allows people to produce stages for me, and they can explain what they want. Like, okay, this stage, we're going to have a hard lean, and it's going to be here. Okay. But you do have to have like that eyes on the ground or whatever to make it actually work.
Yeah. And then they don't have your bay dimensions. Like if they had like your bay dimensions and figured it out like scale wise, and well, even if it wasn't correct to scale, even if they had like, okay, I have this many inches and this many inches, this is what our bay looks like essentially if I had to convert it. So then they at least have that to work it, because the problem is they give you a stage that's super huge because they did it on a whole table.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh crap, now I've got to shrink it into a 25-yard bay deep by 15 to 20 yards wide, when I really need 50 feet. Well, sorry, 50 yards and 40 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it gets people involved, which I really do appreciate. Because it's not everyone has a computer that can run. I had to actually upgrade my computer so I could do SketchUp.
Yeah.
I was running Windows 7 for the longest time, and then I finally had to get like Windows 11 on my new computer. But yeah, I like them and I don't like them. I wish they were fixed to scale where everything was proper, but
Yeah.
They're not, but I can't complain too bad.
And SketchUp has a learning curve to it. It's like,
Oh yeah.
try to explain to people like, oh yeah, you just probably want to copy paste, because when you try to drag things, it's going to get crazy. Like,
you got to watch plenty of YouTube videos on how to use SketchUp.
yeah.
I mean, there's a guy who made a great series about how to use SketchUp for practical shooting. It's awesome, but or you got to Control M so you can make a copy as you drag away from it, so you don't, because you got your whole array of props in a certain spot.
Yeah.
Now,
I have like a file, like it's a big bay. And then because I do a lot for that indoor club, we actually have that to scale, like walls in that big bay. So then like in different areas, I have different types of props. So like I'll go copy paste fault lines and walls and drop them in, and then kind of like that.
Yeah, you just don't have anything for your bullet traps designed yet, do you?
You mean like the port? No, yeah, not for the portables. So that's like I get it on the like a Word doc or whatever to do the WSB, and then I'll just drop like text over it, like this is a mini target, because I don't have minis in my SketchUp right now, and I don't have portables. So then I'll put portable, or I'll tell people like, hey, if the bullet's going to go through this target and impact a wall, that should probably be a portable.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you shouldn't have to tell them, but yes, I agree. But yeah, that's the trick. Well, now that's a proposed rule too, of being able to use mini targets at any level of match.
So IPSC does that at level 2s and 3s, and they do the partial targets. It's interesting. I don't hate it. The fear I have with the minis is, like someone will do something crazy with it. Like, all right, we got minis at 50 yards and they're partial. That's like, that might not be a great shooting challenge or a great experience,
Well, I bet you've seen this, the Targets USA Wheel of Misfortune.
Yeah.
The spinning targets that have a bunch, you can put no shoots and mini, like people just put minis on that, right? Like that would be horrible. And that's what,
I can see the intent with the original rules on the minis, because like I love the use. I like the mini targets a lot, and I like, especially at indoor clubs, they allow you to make it more interesting. But like what, you couldn't use them past 25 yards. You couldn't partial them. Right?
Yeah.
Those are kind of the two rules that they're looking at swapping, or at least the partial thing, and they use that higher level thing. So it's like, yeah, no,
Well, the nice thing is that, I mean, they were used to simulate distance, especially at an indoor match where you don't have the distance.
Yeah.
So you can simulate the distance, which I agree for.
Yeah.
But
that's a positive for everybody.
But I don't want to have to stock another target. Like,
well, my major this year, I just used one type of target specifically for stocking. I wasn't like trying to make I like metric or USPSA targets greater than IPSC ones. I'm just like, I'm just going to design them all one way. And then that way, because I use those waterproof targets and they were kind of expensive. So it's like, well, I'll just have a bunch of one type.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Now. 4 different types of paper targets.
Yeah, that's a lot of targets right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll work. It could work out. That's for sure. Oh, I know what it is. It must be mid-afternoon nap time for all I know. I didn't even work today, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not tired, but I got the yawns. So the listeners are gonna be like, oh my god, this guy just yawns the whole time. But you'll have to live with it, listeners. I don't care. But as I
got back from Pine Tree at 1 a.m, and then I had to be into work. I had a half day, so like I'm just about a pot of coffee up, so I'm feeling great.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, so we were talking about some of these rule changes. But I guess what I really want to ask you is, what do you think about the new proposal for production?
Production. Ah, man. Okay. So like in my heart, I love the production that like I came into the sports. I started in 2015, and it was much more stock production, and I liked it. It kind of suits, I think, my personality. And then, over the years, the erosion of the production rule set, I mean, it was bothersome. It ultimately doesn't affect as much as like you would think, like flashlights and all that, but it does kind of like, where are we going with this? It's that creep towards complexity. It's like in production, and I kind of look at it as a simple division, right, where it's like there's a lot of restrictions, but it makes it, so you're kind of just in this little box of stuff. Now that said, like the driving force of like, well, production is dying. Okay, sometimes that happens to divisions, but the idea, if you state it as like production is this entry level thing, right? Like it's supposed to, and not that production is easy or entry level, but like the 10 round rule set was really, based on like legislation of the time. And the thing is, like, I'm sure you see this at your club, with the new shooters who come in, like, what do I shoot? Like, oh, what do you got? It's like, I've got an M&P. Like, okay, well, just fill the magazines up and go to it, right?
Mhm.
And there's that disparity between being in like the having optimized gear for the division, and then like being competitive or not. Like no one who's new is quote unquote competitive. Like, but I don't know. Like I like 10 round production. I so the thoughts on, not to go too off the rails here, but like so the one rule set about like gun capacity, how do you define that, right? Like that's a big question, right? So let's say you have a gun where you're like, okay, the factory magazine is 17 rounds. The Magpul magazine that fits in the box is 18 rounds. Like, or what if there's different models of the same gun? Like what if you have a whatever and it comes stock with an 18 round magazine, but I guess we were talking, me and Tony, about like the 92 series from Beretta. Some of those are 15 round guns, some of those are 17 round guns. It's all the same like frame-ish sort of thing. So I wouldn't be in favor of that at all. Like enforcement would be a nightmare, right? Like one guy gets 18, one guy gets 16. I like reloads as a skill set to test, where it's like at a certain point, if you have unlimited mag capacity, we're not going to really have any kind of reloads on stages anymore. It's not going to be a consideration. So not a huge fan of the 140, but the 140 is easy to enforce. 15 rounds. I mean, I shoot 15 round production in IPSC. It's fine. I mean, it feels way different in IPSC than it does here, like the short courses, the medium courses, you're not doing a ton of reloads in IPSC, but yeah. So I guess 15 rounds might address that. Like you got new shooter who's got 3 magazines for their gun. They can shoot production, might be good. I mean, I think everyone is always going to want more rounds, right? So
Yeah.
15, they'll want the 140s, and then, is the way it goes.
Yeah. And I guess what I feel is, like, I came into the sport a lot later than you, but I feel like if we put the mags to 140s, I feel that production loses its flavor. It loses its nostalgia. It loses its identity, because then it's essentially just limited minor at that point.
Yeah.
So then at that point, you could just axe production because you kind of axed it itself, because it has no identity now.
And as a hardcore production guy, like if it betters the sport to get rid of a division because of participation or like whatever, like it is what it is. It's like I'm not a fan of L10. Like why do we have that? It's like we could get rid of that, and then like I'd feel we'd be better with more like divisions that people want to participate in, if that makes sense. Instead of having a division for everyone, have divisions that you want to be in. Now, I'm not the guy to answer how you do that,
Right. Yeah, I agree.
What makes a division a division? On the one hand, like does it being mechanically interesting? Like Revolver doesn't have a lot of participation per se, but it's easy to point at like what is a revolver? It's the only wheel gun we got, right? Single stacks, 1911 style guns. It's like, oh, okay, that's a thing. But like, they as they become closer to each other, they become less interesting. Like you're saying about limited, right? Like, well, you can shoot a Glock in limited minor or in regular limited. What's the difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, and everyone's already got magazines with extended base pads, like the production ones that fit the box, right?
Yeah,
everyone's already got those. So why take away those base pads?
It would make the manufacturers very unhappy. I mean, everyone runs them, right? Like,
well, and then who do you determine, is that factory or is that aftermarket? Then you can't control it, and then it's useless at that point.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think it's gonna have to change, or I mean, I feel like it's going to change. It's like, yeah, I'm sad to see it go, but hopefully they make good decisions on it.
Oh yeah, I hope so too. And I mean, like, I was listening to a couple people talk, like, even if you bumped the rounds to 15, it just allows people to be more sloppy with makeup shots and whatnot. You're still going to probably do the same amount of reloads, but you
Potentially, yeah. It you know what, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but if you're taking a lot of makeup shots, I mean, are you really that competitive anyway?
Right. I mean, maybe in C class.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not here to dump on people, but it's like if like, oh, you get 10 extra makeups, like that's kind of a problem already, at least for the time aspect.
Yeah, exactly. It's not very good at that point when you're losing a bunch of time making shots up.
So yeah, you don't have to stick the standing reload, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're taking 3 makeups on every piece of steel, it's probably not going to work out for you in the end anyway, right?
Right. Maybe it's time for them to get a red dot. I don't know.
Yeah, that is an option.
I mean, yeah. Would you if they axed production, what division would you go in?
I'd probably carry optics. I mean, at that point, my personal considerations would be would want to continue to shoot 9 miner ammo, and I'd want to shoot guns that are easily available. And it would be what division has the most heat in it, and that'd be carry optics.
Yeah. Would you
I,
mill
I
your
would want to
shadow
go to a more,
twos?
none of mine are red dot ready at the moment. I would just get them sent out to get milled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, it'd be the easiest switch, and then you'd be going into the division with the most heat, which was where you want to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely got the most participation.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do miss that about production. Like sometimes I go back to like old scores, and you look like, oh man, in 2018, half the people at this match were shooting production. Like
yeah, and it was quite enjoyable for those people because there's people playing there. It's either you spent a few grand and you had a production gun, or you spent 6 to 7 grand on an open gun or a limited gun. But now that
yeah,
40 cal's dying off, I mean, it's like limited's dying too, and that's the unfortunate part about it is, you know,
yeah. I mean,
times are changing.
and participation dwindling off in a division isn't necessarily like a bad thing. It's like participation as a whole is going up. So it's like, in let's say in 100 years, no one shoots single stack anymore, but USPSA is healthy as ever. It's like, well, it's not a bad thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, some people be like, "What are those?" Like at some point, we're gonna be like, "What are those bumpy things on a gun?" No one's gonna like. Everything's just gonna be a red dot at that point.
I mean, that's an option too. You could just say that we're just an optics sport now.
Yeah, you can either shoot irons or optics in the same division, and I mean that's what they do in open. Some people could shoot irons in open if they wanted
Yeah.
to.
I mean,
Like,
like you just basically allow the option for having an optic on everything. It would clean up the divisions kind of nicely, but yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely some things to go, but I mean, if you're listening to this podcast when it comes out, guys, go review the surveys, enter the surveys, do your thing, be responsible. Don't bitch if you don't put your opinion in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're getting near the end. But I have a couple more questions for you, Eric. But what is something that current Eric would love to tell past Eric about shooting?
Oh man. Trying to think. I mean, I would probably tell myself to get a 650 right away. Like upgrade your reloading press immediately. That'd be like the biggest piece of advice I would tell myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, would you probably sit on a single stage for so long, or do you have like a turret press?
I grew up in a household where we reloaded. So like I was, like as a kid growing up, we had a single stage that like we made deer hunting ammo and handgun ammo and stuff on. Before I got into USPSA, I had a Hornady lock and load that I probably reloaded the first 100,000 rounds probably on that lock and load as a progressive press, and it was okay. And then I got a 650, and it's like, I mean, I'd probably tell Eric of 2015 like to just go buy that right away. Like go buy that press. Like I kind of want an automated press right now, and I feel like I'm on the cusp of like spending the money for one of those. But yeah, maybe when I get one of those, I would just tell myself to go back to 2015 Eric and just buy the Mark 7 or whatever. I think the Mark 7 was out then, but
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's always about that, that what's your money worth versus your time, right? What's your time worth?
yeah.
And if the machine can pump them out faster with the same amount of quality, it might be time to look at that way too. or if you shoot, because you shoot that much, right? Like depending on if your number of rounds goes up, I mean, it's better than cranking the handle and suffering through it.
Yeah, it becomes like a concern, like reloading enough ammo to get through, the month or the week or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, darn it. This is blocking my screen. Let me move this. Oh, silly me. But anyway, it's my water bottle. It was sitting right in front of my third monitor. Yes, I'm bougie, everyone. I have 3 monitors. What is, okay, this is a good one. What are things that people can either start doing or stop doing to get better?
Well, I mean, I would say you should dry fire to get better. I feel like people talk about it a lot, but I don't know how much it actually happens. Like you notice when somebody like actually starts to dry fire, like, hey man, I noticed that you like got substantially better in a short amount of time. They're like, oh, I've been dry firing. I'm like, okay, that's a good call.
Yeah.
I'm not a gear person, right? Like per se. Like, I mean, I love guns and I love ammo and all that kind of stuff, but like I feel like if there's something people have to stop doing, it's like like how many words or breath is expended on like spring weights and followers and all this stuff. And I'm like, my God, like you make all these changes, like, are you getting better? Or I would say like people that are constantly switching gear, like you're always restarting some processes. There's a point, yeah, where it's like, and shooting's supposed to be fun. So if you want to buy a new gun each week and shoot, that's cool, man. Go for it. But if your goal is to be good and you're always chasing that next piece of gear, I think you're really just masking some sort of inefficiency in your training regime. Someone says, I want to be a GM or something, like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, but you're always getting a new gun. It's like, you optimize the gun so you feel confident about it. And then that's it. Like, you need to go with practice now, right? Like just like what, like usually I bought like how many I've bought like 5 Glocks. And at this point, I've had 3 different shadows where it's like, now you have a match gun, and now I'm going to set up the practice gun exactly the same. Like, not going to overthink this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of how I'm feeling. Like I've got everything I think I need for when the open gun finally gets done. And then I'm just going to be a training machine. Like I'm going to just be dry firing all the time and training and actually going and shooting practice sessions instead of just shooting only matches. It's
fun. I mean, like the weird thing when you get to the point there is where it's like, there parts of it are going to be super not fun. Like you're going to not want to do X, Y, or Z, but when you finally do those things, the payoff is worth it. You're like, oh, wow, I'm okay at shooting weekend now. Or like it's very cool. It has a weird like payoff on the back end, but all the work's on the front end.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All the work. Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. Well, Eric, this is the part where we got to pay the bills for the sponsors. So you have sponsors, right?
I do. I have 2 sponsors. So
we'll plug them here.
I would like to plug them. One of them would be Fireline Shooting and Training in Appleton, Wisconsin, who is run by our friend Brandon Powers. So if you're in Wisconsin and you're looking to purchase a firearm or ammo or training, or they have an indoor range there, go check them out. And if you're not in Wisconsin and you're like, hey, I like what you do anyway, you can probably contact Brandon. He's teaching all sorts of classes about all sorts of stuff. He's a physical dude, so he's got the mind of an athlete or a physical trainer, and so he'll teach you a class if you want. And then the other one is DG Bullets. So if you like bullets, I like bullets. Everyone likes bullets, right? So what I like is cast bullets, because cast bullets are affordable. So your dollar goes further. So if you're going to spend X amount on ammo, might as well get as much ammo as you can. So check out DG Bullets, and they're green and they're cool, and they're kind of like half the Packers colors. So go Pack, go.
Yeah, and those are Wisconsin bullets, right? Those are made in,
up north, So like I go up to see my dad. We used to buy cattle in Bondwell at the cattle auction. So it's like going to DG to pick up bullets. I'm like, oh, I remember being a kid here buying cows. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. And they're Wisconsin company, which is always nice. You tell them they need to make a yellow bullet so you can have green ones and yellow ones, so you can have pack colors in your magazines.
I'll bring that up the next time I'm there.
Yeah, you should. But Eric, where can they find you, and and tell them about the match again so they can sign up for your match.
So if you want to follow me personally, Instagram is going to be where I post all my shooting stuff. So I've got a really great Instagram handle that I should update, but I haven't. So that's Eric88171 at Instagram or whatever. So that gets all my shooting stuff. If you find me on Facebook, I'll probably still friend you back, but you'll end up having to see like family pictures and pictures of the pug and stuff. So if you're just into the shooting stuff, go to Instagram. And then our match is the Northern Illinois Sectional Championship. That's in May. So May 20th and 21st for the main match. We're on Practice Score. We're on the USPSA website. Yeah, so if you're local to us or not local to us, we'd love to have you out there. So we're shooting to have 12 stages plus chrono, 1-day format. So,
well, boom. Well, Eric,
Yeah.
thank you again for coming on, brother. It's been a good time. I've had some fun and some laughs and some yawns, but not because you're boring. It's
Yeah,
because
wow,
I can't stop this for some reason. I don't know
right
what
at the
it
end,
is.
viciously attack me. You are a boring guest, Eric.
No, Eric's a great guest, guys. You can also check Eric out. He's been on the Laugh and Load podcast a couple times, or at least once, I know. So
Once, yeah, so far.
you can go check him out and get in touch with Eric if you want to. He's a Viking who travels the world to shoot matches. But Eric, thanks
Yeah, if you're
again,
interested in
brother.
international matches, please hit me up. Like, I want to go to Greece next year. We're gonna be, doing a couple of those, so it'd be fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric, and listeners. Until next time, get out and do things, and I'll see you on the next one.